Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. It's time to plant cool season vegetables. Today we're going to go over the options you have this spring. Also, we're going to meet the Extension Director for Shelby County and find out everything Extension does. It's not just gardening. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by Goodwin's Landscape and Garden Center in Germantown since 1943 and continuing to offer its plants for successful gardening with 7 greenhouses and 3 acres of plants, plus comprehensive landscape services. International Paper Foundation, the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Walter Battle. Walter is the Haywood County Extension Director, and Mr. Jim Todd is here. Mr. Jim is the Shelby County Extension Director. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having us. Good to be here, Chris.
All right, so Walter, you know folks are anxious. They're ready to get out and start planting those cool season vegetables. Can we help them out?
Oh, yes. I'm fired up as well. Yes, we finally get to put something in the ground.
Finally.
Yes.
The weather has broken and we're ready to go.
Oh, yes.
So what can we plant now then?
Well, we obviously Irish potatoes, because we could have stuck some of those in a little bit early sometimes. So.
Okay.
But definitely Irish potatoes, your cold crops, broccoli, cabbage, lettuce, greens. You could also plant some beets, your snow peas. All of those kind of things can be planted now. I mean, it's time.
It's time to go.
Yes.
Now, why do we call them cool season vegetables?
Well, it's mainly because these are the crops that can handle, cold weather. They can handle frost. It just doesn't stop them. And this is the time that they grow. So this is their time.
Okay. So folks are going to want to know, when can they start planting?
Okay. Now, I do want to tell people this. There's a very important date.
Okay.
Okay.
That.
And that date is March 28th. Okay. Because according to Tennessee Department of Agriculture weather records, on March 28th, there is a 50% chance of a freeze. Now, we all know what happened in 2007.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, but after that date, the chances of freezes are less and less. So therefore, that's kind of the date that you can go by as a gardener of when to plant and kind of roll the dice, so to speak. So after that date, better chance of survival. Before that date, some
iffy.
things may not make it. Just kind of depends.
Yeah, the weather's tricky around here too, man.
It's tricky. Mid-South weather is tricky. It is. I mean, wow. I mean, you can go, 75 one day and
the
33 the next day.
Walter, being new to the area,
That's right.
that is great information to know right there. I can tell you.
Yes. So just kind of remember that.
Okay. Now, what are some of your recommendations for growing these cool season vegetables?
Well, again, like I said, I like growing radishes.
Okay.
I like growing beets. I love the snow peas. And I just love cabbage. So,
Okay.
Those are crops that I would just recommend just off the cuff. I'm getting into broccoli.
Okay.
I really am. And also green onions.
Okay.
Now, you can plant your green onions right now. I mean, just start setting them in the ground. They'll be fine. And go out there and pull them up. And when they get ready, and put them in the salads, and you're good
Ready to go?
Yes.
Now, look, how do you prepare your soils for your cool season veggies?
Well, what I like to do is, of course, I go out there with my tiller, and I till it up real nice and everything. And then I try to do what we call bed it up.
Okay.
And you have that, nice square bed. And then I just plant right there into those hills, so to speak. That's how I plant a lot of my crops. And I usually go a good, you can go 2-3 inches. I mean, 1 to 2 inches deep, depending on the seeds or whatever. My cabbage plants, I usually take a little stick and just kind of punch a little hole about maybe 2 inches down into the soil, and then I set it off in there and pat it down and that usually works.
Okay, you be ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
Now, recently we've had a lot of rain, so we don't want to work that soil now while it's wet, do we? So what do we do in that situation?
Right. If you can take your soil and roll it up into a mud ball, okay, then that soil's just too wet.
Okay.
You want the soil to be able to, like, I guess, filter through your hands or your fingers or what have you. That's when the soil is ready to plant and ready to work. And don't get out there and just pulverize your soil.
Beat it to death.
Sometimes I know it's fun getting with that tiller and you get so excited and you just pulverize it, but try to have some good consistency and all that so that you get those root spaces and root pores.
Yeah, you definitely get excited because it actually cranked.
Yeah.
You got it to crank.
Yeah,
You're like, yeah, it works.
Yes, it actually works.
Yeah, you get it to crank. That's it. Now let me ask you this. So, do you prefer seeds or transplants?
Okay,
that's a general question we always
yes,
get.
that is a
Seeds or
general
transplants?
question. I tend to grow beets, carrots. I usually grow those by seed.
Okay.
Now, cabbage, broccoli, I like to do transplants on those. I'm just trying to think of some others. Cauliflower, I would do that as a transplant. And you want to take those transplants and kind of harden them off a couple of days before you transplant, and that way they'll be adapted to the weather because they've been so happy in that greenhouse and life is good and comfortable in there. And then all of a sudden you get stuck out there and have to deal with this mid-south weather.
That's right.
Things could change, so try to harden them off a little bit.
Okay. And seeding depth is important too, right?
Yeah, it's very, very, very important. And that's like I said, the big problem I see is people plant too deep.
That's what
I've seen people plant 6 inches deep. And like, my stuff ain't come up. I'm like, whoa, how deep did you plant? So you only really need to get about 1, maybe no more than 2 inches. That's pushing it into the ground. You just want really the soil to be able to have, so that it would have soil contact. That's really what you're after.
Right.
And it's covered up and protected from the birds.
Right.
so to
And
speak.
for the most part, the size of your seed will let you know how deep it really needs to be planted.
Right, exactly. And usually the seed package will tell you as well.
that's right.
So just follow those instructions and you'll be fine.
Now, if somebody's actually, going to one of the big box stores or to a nursery to, get some transplants, what do they need to look for?
Well, I like to see a little purple on my transplants, just a little bit, because that means they're hardened off a little bit.
Okay.
And of course, you like to see a good white fibrous root. Now just don't go in there and pull up every, somebody may come and say, hey, don't do that. But just kind of take a little sneak peek, and that'll be fine. That's what you kind of look for in those transplants. Now, when you start getting into that stuff where, hey, you can get these 5 trays for $3, you better watch out.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're doing when you get those deals like
It's
that.
using the bargain rack.
That's right.
They're back there for a reason.
Yes, and also like packs of seeds. If you go somewhere and they have seeds, like 10 packs for $2, be a little careful because they could be old seeds that they're trying to pass off on you. You have germination issues.
Thanks for the good information there, Walt.
Yes, sir.
All right. There are a number of gardening events going on in the next couple of weeks. Here are just a few that might interest you. All right, Mr. Jim, first and foremost, welcome to the Family Plot and to Shelby County.
Well, it's great to be here. I'm excited.
Well, good. Now, for the folks out there, Mr. Todd is an extension agent, Mr. Walter is an extension agent, I'm an extension agent. The familiar question is this: so what is extension? So can you enlighten us?
Well, I know you guys know all about extension,
Sure
but there's
we
a
do.
lot of folks that maybe not. And I'd like to kind of begin, Chris, with just letting people know a little bit about, how we got to this point.
sure.
And but extension is an extension of a university. Right. And it's actually an extension of a land-grant university. And our forefathers, over 100 years ago, were in this process of, well, we need more food and we need more fiber, and we've got to get a way to educate people to do that. And so they created at the federal level a land grant system, which they granted land to every state in the country. And in turn, the state created a land-grant university. Some created more than one. Some have as many as 3. But the mission of that university is to, provide teaching, and also it went to research, but to provide teaching and research for the benefit of the people of that state. Well, most of them, they kind of sit there and said, okay, well, we've got the teaching, we've got a university that's for the people.
Right.
All the people are welcome to come. It's a public university, they can come to that. We're doing research to use in those classrooms, but how do we get it out to everybody? So the third leg of that stool was service. And so they created an extension of the university, an extension service, and that's what we guys are.
Right.
We're out here to serve the people with educational programs that are developed through research that is done at the university level. And the neat thing is that we're in a national network of land-grant universities. It's not just those in Tennessee, but it's all over the country. And in Tennessee, it is the University of Tennessee is the land-grant, and Tennessee State University. We have 2 great universities, and our office here in Shelby County, which there is an office in every county in the country and in Tennessee, but here in our office, we're lucky enough to have that mixture of educators. There's 23 staff on board here that are educators that are serving the people out there in a variety of current program needs.
And Walter's in Haywood County.
Yes.
You also have UT and TSU agents in your office as well, right?
Right, staff of 6.
Staff of 6. That's some interesting history about Extension, though. I'm proud to work for Extension. I love the mission, love what it's all about. So definitely proud of it. That's for sure. Now, Extension Month is this month, Mr. Jim. So you want to tell the folks a little bit about what we may be doing this month?
Well, what we're trying to do this month is bring a little bit of attention, and how do we do that? Is that we connect with our community out there, and we invite our community to kind of celebrate with us a little bit. And so this month, at the end of the month, on the 30th of March, our office is partnering with the Shelby County Health Department. They do an annual health and wellness fair, and so we're partnering with them because it also happens to be National Nutrition Month. And so we're going to partner with them. All of our different educators in our office are going to go down, and we'll be there. And this is actually, having to look here, Chris.
Okay.
It's actually going to be at 814 Jefferson Avenue between 11 and 2 on that March 30th, and we'll be there. They'll be there. It's open to the public.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of services will be introduced. We can, people can learn everything that we have to offer through our Shelby County Extension office. And we very rarely come together.
That's
under
right.
one
I was going
roof.
to mention that. That's right.
So other than our offices,
That's
but
right.
I mean, we very rarely come together like that. So it's going to be kind of neat, Walter, for us to kind of be together and to kind of talk about the programming that we have. So the general public can come out that day and find out all about us and everything. And I'd like to mention too, Chris, that as far as programming, that's a question we get a lot of times. Well, what kind of programming do we do in Extension?
Yeah.
And that leads to, it started out with agriculture. So, of course, we do agriculture, natural resources, the horticulture programs, the Master Gardener program that's so important to our community, our commercial hort like that. The other thing is we have production agriculture. And I don't know, I'm not sure if you know this, Chris, but we have 65,000 acres in production ag in Shelby County in 2015.
I did not know that. More than I thought.
Yeah, corn, wheat, grain sorghum, cotton, soybeans came in at like 40,000 acres plus.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So we still have a good bit of production ag in such an urban county as Shelby, but we're really there. Our programming is for the family. And we have a lot of our agents dedicated to nutrition, health, personal financial management through our family consumer science programs. We have federal programs like expanded food and nutrition program that work with our state SNAP Ed program, and so provides invaluable information really to the citizens out there about how to eat healthy. Because you guys, I know how important this local movement about eating local foods has grown.
Definitely that. That and all of the community gardens popping up all around the place. So yeah, it's so important.
We're working through 4-H. That's our youth programs with the Extension. and we're working with our schools and other nonprofits. You know, there's over 100 school gardens as well. So yeah, it's important.
And that means we'll be pretty busy, right?
We're going to be very busy, very busy.
And look, before we end this, how about contact information?
Contact information, it's really good. You can reach us, of course, at our office, and we're at the Agri Center and out on Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway. This is where our office and B Wing, but also extension.tennessee.edu/Shelby is our website, or you can reach us on Facebook at UT Extension Shelby County.
All right, well, we appreciate that information. Y'all come out to see us now. We'd be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you, Mr. Jim, appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, so what we have right here is mistletoe. This is a good time to get the mistletoe out because you can actually see it. And if you know anything about mistletoe, it actually robs this tree of nutrients and water. So we're gonna go in and get it out of here. It's a saprophyte is what it is. And I'm just cutting it off here. Not being too judicious, just trying to get it out of here. Because we don't want it growing on this tree and robbing the tree of the nutrients. And if you can, get as much of it off as possible. Be sure that when you're on the ladder pruning, that you be very careful. All right, so here's our Q&A session. Mr. Jim, you help us out with this too. I have a cucumber problem. In each of the last 2 growing seasons, the plants got the same blight mid-season. The leaves started shriveling, the fruit stopped growing, got spongy to the touch, and turned a sour sort of pale yellowish green. I could see tiny boreholes in the fruit. Never saw an insect, larva, or worm. What can I do to keep this from happening this year? And we'll start with you, Walt. What do you think may be the problem, and how can she avoid this problem for this year?
Well, I think the hole is that's the pickle worm, and something that contains bifenthrin would be what I would recommend to treat that. Now I don't know if they are an organic grower or not, so that may be an issue.
She didn't say.
But if they're not an organic grower, I would use something that contains bifenthrin, and that should clean that problem up for them.
Okay. Mr. Jim, we're thinking anything else? Possibly?
I'm possibly thinking, you know, if that wilt starts in the top and it comes, you know, it kind of wilts during the day and then recovers at night, and then the next day, you know, it kind of wilts again, and then eventually kind of starts dying from the top down. It could be a bacterial wilt or even a fungal wilt like that, which by the time that, I mean, what happens with a wilt is those vascular systems get clogged up, and so really there's nothing to do. And at that point, when you see that, it's best to get that out of your garden, just rogue it out like that, and be aware of it for the next year. Okay. But there's not really a lot you can do other than choosing resistant varieties when you go to plant.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. So I'm always, you know, a big advocate. Use resistant varieties or some of those early maturing varieties.
And you don't always have one single problem with a plant.
That's right.
That's true.
Right.
You can have several things happening. Yeah.
All right, so I hope that helps you out. So here's our next question. What is the best way to control slugs in my flower beds? Walter?
Well, I have a demonstration for you.
All right, let's look at the demo.
That is probably the #1 problem that I have with my tomatoes.
Okay.
So what I started doing, I go and I get at soil level. I went and bought some little cheap dishes. Do not use your wife's fine china. You get in trouble. And what I did, I placed it at soil level. Okay. And then I just take some beer and pour in there. Now I will tell you, it's something about beer. Those slugs and snails just love it. I think it's the yeast.
It's the yeast
that they like.
It is, right.
And the next morning, when I come out every morning, I will have 4 or 5 of those snails and slugs, you know, stuff like that in there. But that there will take care of it. Like I said, and you'll come out, and I have like 5 of these placed all around my tomato area, and that works. So I'm sure it'll work in a flower bed as well.
And there are some, you know, some baits out there that you can use One that I know for sure is iron phosphate.
Okay.
Because iron phosphate is actually safe for pets. You know,
Okay.
if you have dogs and cats, or if you have little kids, it's actually safe. Now, there's one product out there, the active ingredient is metaldehyde. Don't use that bait. Because metaldehyde is poisonous to dogs and cats. So if it contains, you know, metaldehyde, don't use it. But look for iron phosphate, and it's usually like Sluggo. Actually, I have that at home. You know, Sluggo iron phosphate is real safe. It's a pellet, put it out there. But culturally, you know, when you think about slugs and snails, they like areas that are wet and a lot of organic material.
Right.
And they like to hide under, of course, boards and rocks and things like that. So culturally, you want to make sure you have good drainage. They like dark areas.
Yes.
They actually are active at night.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're active at night.
When I find them.
Right.
And you'll know you have them because they'll have their the silvery
the little trail.
And,
Yeah.
yes, and also hostas. They are a big problem in hostas as well because I have them.
Yeah, they like anything that has succulent foliage. Yeah, so hostas, strawberry leaves, anything with succulent foliage, they go right to it.
Right.
All right, so I hope that helps you out. All right. So here's our next viewer email. As a beginner gardener, what are some tools that you think I need? I think that's a good question. What do you think about that, Mr. Jim?
Well,
as a beginner gardener.
You know, there's some common ones, but one I'm gonna go to. I know Walter's got a couple, but but my dad always had was called a grubbing hoe, and it was, and I think you know what that is.
Yes,
but it basically has a horizontal blade that's about 2-3 inches wide, on one end heavy, so you could use it kind of like a Maddox. You know, and then the other end was a vertical blade, so I actually used that. You know, it's just real short, about 1.5 inches wide, that you can use. And I've seen them at local box stores. But you can use it to set out your rows. You know, when you're planting seeds and things like that in a row. It's one of the real handy ones.
Yes. So definitely need that. What about something else?
Well,
for the beginner
also
gardener?
you have your hoe, your rake, your forks, and also, you know, as a gardener, you're gonna have to get down on your knees sometimes. So some knee pads.
Oh yeah.
And then you're gonna need these little trowels and these little rakes and things like that to work with. Also, you need to have your little spray bottle here so that you can, you know, spray plants or what have you if you need to do that. And then I have this to make my measurements. You know, when I mix up things, so I use this just little cone shape deal here that I use to mix my chemicals and stuff with. So yes, and I also say soaker hoses. If you grow tomatoes, you're gonna need stakes or a cage. And another thing is, and a good wide brim hat. You need
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen, good
Sunscreen,
one.
yeah.
That's for sure. That's
One that I always have is a rain gauge.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
just to be able to kind of keep up, you know, with what you've got
good.
in your little microclimate.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, good suggestions. I would like to add, especially if you're going to be mixing chemicals, a 1 or 2 gallon container would be good, and a garden journal.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Very
That's
good,
good.
very
That's
good.
good.
Garden
idea,
journal.
yeah.
To write
You
down
keep
where
up with what you're
where
doing.
you planted this, what is that? Yeah, those come in handy. That's for sure.
You can refer back.
Yeah, refer back.
Yeah.
For years. That's good. All right, so here's our next question. I have leaf spots all over my Indian hawthorn. What is it, and can I control it? Walt, we're gonna throw this to you first.
Well, I'm thinking Entomosporium, leaf spot, and basically something with chlorothalonil or mancozeb will usually take care of it. But it can be a problem.
Yeah, because what happens is, of course, on your young leaves, they start off with these little purple, you know, spots, and then, of course, as that leaf starts to grow, the spots start to get a little bigger. See it a lot when it's raining, you know, because those leaves, of course, are not able to dry off. So that's why you need good air, you know, movement through your shrubs as you have
Yes.
it. You can use the fungicides, of course, but what I like to do, I like to start culturally before I even get to the pesticides. So I always say, look, I'm going back to resistant varieties. If you start with that, look for those varieties that are going to be resistant to the leaf spot. Make sure they're out in the full sun. That's where we want to be.
Yes.
And drip irrigation. Because when you start watering overhead and the leaves are not able to dry off,
Yeah, problem.
fungal spots. All right. So Walter, Mr. Jim, we're out of time. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
All right. Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is familyplots@wkno.org, and the mailing address is Family Plot 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. Family Plot has a website, familyplotgarden.com. You can watch individual segments and answers to viewer questions. If you want to rewatch something you saw on today's show or want to read extension publications about what we talked about, go to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today, but we're just getting started this season. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Cooper. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by Good Winds Landscape and Garden Center in Germantown since 1943 and continuing to offer its plants for successful gardening with 7 greenhouses and 3 acres of plants, plus comprehensive landscape services. International Paper Foundation, the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.